What's going on, people, and welcome to Man Knows Football. You are here with Guni and a very, very special guest. That is Mr. Johnny Minerals himself has joined us, Minerals FC. How you doing, Johnny?
I'm all good, geezer. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you taking the time out to allow me to land some minerals, bruv. Let's have it right. You know what I mean?
Man,
Big up everyone in here as well. Like and subscribe and all that jazz. You know what I mean?
Yeah, trust me, man. We have crossed the 10K barrier, but we still got a long way to go, man. So keep smashing up that subscribe button. I have been trying to get Johnny on for a bit, but obviously life does get in the way. Huge fan of Johnny when he is on other spaces and, you know, on the Twitter and that. It talks a lot from the heart, man. A lot of what you say is a lot of sense, to be honest. But, like, I have to respect how much you're backing our players, man. So you get me? As a real fan, nobody can really question that. But obviously, we're in the whole transfer situation right now. And I'm going to start off with some internal work that's been done. Obviously, Billy Gilmour's contract has been extended with Chelsea Football Club. There was some concerns about that because of obviously how his loan move went with Norwich. But how do you feel about that, Johnny?
Listen, let's have it right. I knew all day long that Billy Gilmour was gonna be at this football club, and he's got a big future ahead of himself. I got high hopes for the kid. I put him in that sort of generational talent bracket. I think for a player of his age and what he's achieved, getting the debut man of the matches in pretty much every competition he's played in, speaks volumes about the quality of this kid. I think the loan move was wrong for him.
Yeah.
Going to Norwich, that was a piss poor move. And I always knew that. I thought there was always room in this squad going into the last season that we needed a player like Gilmour. For me, he's I mean, I don't know if a lot of people know that he was scouted by Barcelona before we actually bought him from Rangers. And, he's that sort of player. I can see him in a mould of like a Xavi, Modric type player, dictates the play, very quick, excellent passing. He's got an eye for a pass, fantastic defensively pressing. You just need to bulk up, really. And I think for me, extending his contract is the best news today for me, better than a signing at the minute, because I think he's got a real chance going into next season being part of the squad. I think he's too good to go on loan. I can't lie. He's too good, bro.
I'll say this. I think I have to agree with you. The loan move to Norwich was just poor. It was terrible. And by no means, because I see the media trying to stick it on him like they're reflecting it on his performances or whether he's quite good enough. By no means is that the question. It was a bad loan move, and you just seen how it ended up for Norwich. It was an absolute shambles for them from start to finish this whole season. So we're not going to put no blame on Billy. But for me, I ain't going to lie to you. I've always rated him, bruv. We can never forget that performance that he put in against Liverpool. And remember, this was a Liverpool at the peak of their powers. This man's bossing up Fabinho, spinning him, putting him on the floor, making all of this kind of stuff for jokes, man. So we can't forget that there is a player in there. And in terms of what we're looking for, because we need a DM in this squad. I think it's like unanimous around the fan base that we're crying out for a DM. Yeah. We could have used him this season just gone. I strongly believe that he would have had a strong role to play because in terms of just screening that defense, it's quite like you said, like technically he's very good. He gets the ball out of his feet very, very quickly, which is something that you need in that DM position. You need someone you can trust who's not going to lose the ball in front of that defense. Billy does that well, you get me? And in terms of his work rate, absolutely, you get me? So I'm happy that he's actually signed as well. So that's good news on Billy Gilmour. But I was actually going to come on to Declan Rice last, but because we're speaking about DMs, I just think, fuck it, you know what? We might as well just do it now, Johnny.
Well, you know what? Yeah, on Billy Gilmour, bruv. I call him Billy Esther Xavi Gilmour, bruv, because he's a player we haven't got in our squad, and I think he can take on that role of Georgie. He's not really a sitter, but he can do a role in the number 6, and he's more of an 8 for me. He's a bit of both.
Yeah,
but in terms of technical ability and his reading of the game at such a young age, like I say, he's got all the minerals to go right to the top at Chelsea. And I'll be gutted. Like my mate is a United fan. He was away at Norwich and he says, he called me up after the game and he said, this Gilmour you got, mate, this fella he's unbelievable. He run us ragged, literally run us ragged. And Norwich are a shit team. Let's have it right. They are useless, bruv. But he's just a special player. And I think hopefully the gaffer's going to assess him and think, do you know what? I can use this player, even if we get a Declan Rice. But we'll go on to Declan Rice anyway.
Well, the situation with Declan Rice, and we've come into this window with reports that West Ham are not willing to part with him with anything less than £150 million, and they actually have no intention to sell him. But, you know, you've got one or two, I think you call them brown envelopes. I think that's funny. You know, your Matt Laws and them man there that have been actually dripping out information here and there, just saying things like, you know, that 150 million is kind of wide on the mark. Take that with a pinch of salt. And the price that they're actually quoting is between 80 and 100 million pounds. That's if you're to believe what they're saying. Now, if you're coming into that price range with a Declan Rice, Tchouameni's already gone. So that's one of the two that would have been ideal at Chelsea. So now he's already gone. Do you think that Chelsea need to just say fuck it and just pay what they're asking for at this point?
Well, listen, let's have it right. Firstly, the brown envelopes, they talk a lot of nonsense. Like, don't drink their minerals in because they ain't got none. Yeah, they're paid to say what they say at the time they say it, and we know that with the Lukaku saga. Yeah, but in terms of Declan Rice, he's exactly what we need. The gaffer knows he's exactly what we need. Everyone was screaming to back Tommy T after the Lukaku situation. I think the board at that time built trust with him and respect and were prepared to back him, but they didn't do after him winning the Champions League, work that one out. But in terms of Declan Rice, he fits the profile of what we want. He suits Chelsea to a T. He's obviously come from our academy, and let's have it right. Whoever let him go should be sacked immediately, because we're having to pay an arm and a leg for him.
Yeah.
But in terms of defensively recovery, he's got a great pass on him, left and right, long ball. He can make the short passes like Georgie does. In my opinion, if you look across our midfield, and you got Kante, Jorginho, and Kovacic, obviously forget Saul now, but those three, none of them can get you like a goal like Declan Rice can. I think he's got 5 or 6 goals in open play this season, which is not what you want your DM to do. But if he's got it in his locker, you want that. All right. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I think in terms of long passing, he's the best out of all of them. None of them really spread the balls over. So say you're playing a Man City and you're getting pressed relentlessly. I think he would be able to break that press with just that one pass.
Yeah.
And we haven't really got anyone like that. And obviously, for his age he's at and the build he's at, is exceptional. And the final thing I'd say, which I think is the creme, or the cherry on top, so to speak, is the fact that he could slot into a centre-back position within the game in moments that you need it, to help out your defence. And none of our current midfielders can do that. So in terms of when you buy Declan Rice, he's there to replace one of them or two of them or whatever. I think the beauty of it is Declan Rice can play with our 3 current midfielders if the gaffer wanted to. So it doesn't really affect them too much. I think he allows us to play a back 4, a back 3. We can play 3-man in midfield, which we haven't seen at all. And that, for me, releases and frees up Minerals Mount, bruv. Minerals Mount can then come into that number 8, number 10 position, which is where he flourishes, and that's his best position. And then you can have your 3 main attackers, whether that's a Dembele, a Kai Havertz, and say a Pulisic. They get that sort of... We got more creative flair to use in the game, whereas when you put Mount in that position, because we're playing a double 6, it restricts you completely, bruv. Completely. Yeah. So Declan Rice is a huge signing. For me, it's the most important signing other than the centre-backs, and selling Lukaku. So I think the way we could go around it is Declan Rice is refusing to sign a new contract. So that's one tick. The 150 million is nonsense. No one's going to pay 150 million. West Ham know it. They're just trying to outprice him. I think if you're talking 120, 130, all right, and then you come in with a 75, 80 million bid, and potentially they're like Brozier, for example, who I would like to keep personally, but let's argument's sake, Tuchel doesn't fancy him. You can put him into the deal. You can put a 70 million up front. a few add-ons, and already you've met their sort of expectation, and you haven't shed out 130 million all in one wedge because you've got other positions to fill. That's the only way you can do it. I can't really see it any other way. And I know Chelsea ain't going to just throw 130 million. The other option is obviously Declan Rice forcing a move, which is a bit of a sticky situation because
I don't see him
he's the
doing
captain, isn't he? So, you know, you can wait till next year. Personally, I don't think we can afford to do that. And you can go and get a Basuma, but you're still going to have to go and fill out that position again and go out in the market again. And you'll probably end up spending around 70, 80 million anyway.
Yeah.
So if you're going to throw in a player there, plus the 78 million, that's the way to go. He's too important, Guni, for next season for us to try and compete. You know what I'm saying?
I've said that. I've said several times, like, if Tchouaméni is going to Real Madrid, even before he went to Real Madrid, I said, if Tchouaméni is going to Real Madrid, it's got to be Declan Rice or vice versa. I wouldn't mind either one of the players at the team, but it's got to be one of those two because we need that quality. And for me, and it's always looked like it would be Declan Rice because the situation just makes sense. Obviously, Cobham boy knows the environment, best mates with Mason Mount.
That's a sweetener, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he'd fit in perfectly, and obviously Tuchel loves him as well, man. That's one thing that we all know is that Tuchel is a fan of the player.
Bruv. That's what you say. You see, the problem with this fan base, right, is they want specific players or that they like and they rate, yeah. But when it comes to Declan Rice, no one rates him. They don't want him because say it's the price tag. All right, put the price tag aside, and let's talk about the player himself.
Yeah,
and they'll still have their kind of questions about him, and they don't want him. They rather go for a Tchouaméni. Well, let's have it right. Tchouaméni was never going to come to Chelsea, right? He was always going to go Real Madrid, and he's gone now. You know, when you're competing with Real Madrid are just going to go out and basically take all the young talent because that's their dream to play for, you know, the biggest club in the world because of how many Champions Leagues they won, blah blah blah. But you've got to, as a fan, understand what the gaffer wants and appreciate and respect what he wants because he has proved over the last 16 months he's got all the minerals to take us right to the top and win us titles after titles. He's won 100%. The Champions League, Super Cup, Club World Cup. He's won the 3 trophies. He's inherited a squad. He's got us into 6 finals and we've won 3 of them, all right? And he's had COVID, injuries, major injuries to the most important positions in this system because we can't play a back 4, so he's restricted there. He's brought unity to the squad. He's accepted a shitboard signing, that cement-booted fella, who's absolutely fucked our whole team spirit, everything about us, yeah?
Yeah, facts, he has.
He's had to deal with his private life, and he's had to deal with the sanctions. Now, there's no other gaffer in world football for me that can problem solve the way he has. He's exceptional at it. And I think for me, he's got to be backed 100%. If Declan Rice is what he wants, and you go and get him Declan Rice. If he wants Dembele, whether he's injury prone or not, go and get him. If he wants Koundé, you get him. If he wants flipping Sterling, who I don't want, go and get him. And
if you trust the man, you got to back it. Yeah, 100%. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, yeah, I trust him. He's the man to take us forward. But you want to be like the head of the transfers and make the decision. You got to let him do what he's doing. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
And if there's any manager that has deserved it, man, Tuchel could have. This is what people don't understand. Is Tuchel could have left time ago. He could have walked time ago when, with all these sanctions and everything that was just going left, he could have just said, this is long. Like, this isn't even for me to deal with. I'm just a manager. But nah, he stayed. So, like, he definitely has earned this, man, 100%.
Well, that's key what you said there, manager. You see, under Roman, he's a coach.
He's a coach, facts,
right?
Yeah.
But right now, he's gonna take on the manager's role, which is what I've been calling for Roman to do for years when it comes to finding a top manager. And there's not many in the game right now. So for me personally, the gaffer is the perfect mould. He loves the club. He's achieved already something special with that club. And I think if you give him the right tools, because he's been dealt a shit hand. Let's have it right, Guni, bruv. I mean,
100%.
Look at the players he's had to deal with. And we'll get to Lukaku. I mean, that was a bold signing. I don't care what the brown envelopes say. It was a bold signing, 100%. And I know that, all right? He's not a profile Tuchel. He's not that profile player. He can't press. You know, he runs like pressing is like him running underwater, bruv. He doesn't move. He's got no mentality. He's come with a huge price tag. He can only play counter-attacking football. So what is he doing at Chelsea? Do you honestly think Tuchel would proper signing like that? Nah, come on, let's have it right.
I've got to agree.
He's been dealt it, and he's had to deal with it, and he cannot. He's tried everything, Guni. Everything is locker. He's tried different formations, different rotations of attackers, different midfield pivot positions. You can't even play Georgie with him, for fuck's sake. So you're handcuffed already. Plus you've got injuries. Anyway, the bottom line is, if we weren't sanctioned and Roman was still in power, I'll tell you this now, 100%, it would have been a case of Lukaku staying because of player power, and they valued the player more.
I was actually going to come to ask you about that question, about the whole situation with Abramovich. Now, obviously, nobody agrees with how he has left the club with the whole British government, the way they've been dealing with it. Anyway, listen, let's see what happens in the court, man. But look, we give thanks for what Roman's done for the club. He's just given us untold success. So there's never any kind of disrespect or anything behind this question. But do you think this was the right time for Roman to go? Because when I really sit down and look objectively, there's certain things that I agree with you wouldn't be happening if he was still at the club. Like, for example, as much as I feel Marina gets a lot of stick for the transfer decisions and that, she's got a massive role, but I don't think he would have, delegated some of that to someone else. Like, for example, the director of football or sporting director to take care of transfers and stuff. I think she would have stayed in place. Do you think that it was needed for a change at Chelsea?
Yes and no. I think the no in the sense that there is no other owner like Roman Abramovich, and he's the best owner in the world, and that the football world from now on to the future will ever see. He's a one-man fella, do you know what I mean? He's got the minerals, he's got all the money. It was a passion and just a hobby for him. It's not 100%. About making money. I think now the way football's going with all the consortiums and how they want, it's a profitable business. That's what football is. It's probably the biggest money-making sport one of them in the world, bruv. So in my opinion, in those terms, I never wanted Roman to go. But in terms of moving on as a club and dominating like Manchester United used to dominate, slightly dominating like how City are at the minute, there's stability, there's a project, there's a vision. I think what Roman's done is he's instilled a winning mentality. He's developed the academy. He's spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
Granted, not very well and well. I would say more not very well compared to well, in the sense that, he's hiring and firing managers trigger happy.
Left, right,
and
centre, yeah.
That's a problem, because you can't really build stability and you can't sort of progress. Yeah. But we've won titles, bruv. We've won Champions Leagues. We've won every trophy that can be won, and we are hated because of Roman, and we're hated because we're winners. I think now is the perfect time, if I'm being honest, to go for the next step. Now with the new owners, the proof's in the pudding for me. I'm going to back them, but the only saving grace for me, let's have it right, is that there's a clause with the Glazers, Glazer clause. So they can't just bloodsuck us and take all our money out of our football club. They have to invest, and in 10 years' time, if they want to take money out, fair play. You take your profits out of the club where you want to take it. But in terms of, I think now the gaffer actually gets 100% backed, and that's the difference with Roman. I don't think you'll get back to an extent, but if there's a player that they question and the shit scouts that should jog on at them,
they need to get thrown in the bin for real.
Yeah, I mean, scouting Lukaku and Saul, what the fuck's wrong with you? You're wrong-uns, bruv. I mean, those two players themselves are an absolute joke. Bakayokos and fucking Drinkwaters and Maratas and all these players, bruv, are shocking. Malin Sarr and all this, that goes hand in hand. I think Tuchel now will take a more hands-on approach because he has to. We ain't got time to get director of football. We ain't got time to clear out the scouting system and start from scratch. So this is a massive window, almost a dream position for Tuchel right now, where he can say to Bowley, look, these are the areas, these are the players I want to keep and have a future, who we should keep on. James, Mount, Gilmour, all these players, right? I'm going to bring back loan players. I'm going to assess them and see if they got the minerals to play for us next year for a big, long season. And then he's going to say, look, these are the areas I want to go and buy, like a Koundé, who for me makes perfect sense. He's versatile, both-footed, technically
he's a proper
gifted.
little baller, him, innit?
All right, he ain't got the height, and all these Twitter virgins get on him about his height, but let's have it right. The guy's got a leap on him. He's got shithousery about him. He's got everything in his locker, and he's young, and he wants to play for Chelsea. That's the key. He wants to play for Chelsea.
Yeah, he's been relentless, innit?
Exactly. He's waited a whole year.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm done with all these mercenaries. I'm done with players like, let's take Lewandowski, for example, world-class striker, who we should have got in the first place. But if he wants to go Barca, and you're just going to throw money at him to bring him to Chelsea, his heart don't want to come to Chelsea.
He's really motivated. It's a fact.
Yeah,
that's a good
I don't want that. I want players that want to play for us. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, Reece James and Minerals Mount are the benchmark. That's what you look for, criteria of who should be playing for your football club. Declan Rice fits that. Yeah,
I have to agree.
Koundé fits that.
Yeah.
Dembele potentially, because he wants to play for Tuchel. He wants to come to London and he wants to test himself in the Premier League, and I like that about him. It's a very demanding league, and he's injury prone. Like the kid's showing minerals, bruv, just to come to play in the Premier League. So for me, like these players that have been sounded out are the correct players, the right profile players. But would Roman have gone and got them or Marina? I'm not so sure, bruv.
Yeah, question.
Marina's got a lot to answer for. She's got blood on her hands, bruv. Let's have it right. Haaland signed today. Been released today. I've been calling for Haaland. I never wanted Lukaku. I wanted Haaland. Yeah,
same here.
we should have paid out the big money, because whether he's going to stay 2 years on a release clause, fuck it. We've got Lukaku who's ratted us. And he's only been here for a year anyway, and now we're
left us in a worse position now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could have had Haaland for 2 years, bagging goals, helping us win a title, giving a player that Tuchel wants instead of buying this fella, bruv. He's just not a footballer, is he?
We're gonna give the Lukaku space. We're gonna have a 10-minute talk on Lukaku at some point. It's just that I've got to address the super chat since we are into like potential incomings of players. You did mention Dembele. Big up AN for the super chat. Apparently Dembele is close. Is that true, Guni? Well, what I'll say is that if you're listening to reports, it's looking like Dembele is going to be coming to Chelsea Football Club. Now, why I think that this is going to happen is when you look at the things outside of the media and does it make sense? Sometimes you've got to try and piece things together. Dembele has played his best football under Thomas Tuchel. He said that himself. He's had numerous opportunities to sign a contract with Barcelona. He's rejected that. PSG are no longer in the picture. Yeah, that was our biggest threat, in my opinion. Thomas Tuchel has said about him, he is the most naturally gifted player that he's ever seen with his own two eyes. Yeah, and we know who he's coached in the game. So for me, the mutual respect is there. And quite like Johnny said, that desire, regardless of all the injuries that he's had, to come into the Premier League, to know like you're not coming here to just coast and sit. You're coming here to help us win things. You're going to come and work. That to me gives me the right mentality altogether. And then we also have to look at the fact that he has been fit for the majority of the last season. Now, I know in comparison to what he has had, right? And personally, I'm going to go on record and say this. I don't necessarily believe all of those are injuries. I also believe that there have been issues between the club and the player as well. Yeah. But listen, people mature, people change. What I heard is that when he got married, his wife helped screw his head on and get him focused. And you know what? I'm not surprised, because there's good women out there that do that for men near enough every day. So it's true. It happens, bruv. There are bad ones out there, but there are also very, very good ones. But let's start off with Dembele. Would you like to see him at Chelsea Football Club? I think he's an elite potential, bro. Absolute elite potential.
Well, I'll tell you this about Dembele, yeah? And I'll say he has got the minerals, yeah? He's 2-footed, left-right positions. I think he could even fill out a right wing back position. He's got bags of pace. He's intelligent baller. He's 23. Is he 23, 24?
I think he's 24, 25 actually, but
All right.
that's
So
still, do you know what I mean?
yeah. Let's put him on the market. Yeah. If he was on the market, not on a free, this player's over 100 million.
Easy. With
Whether you like
4 years left on his contract. Easy.
Yeah. Probably more, bruv. If he
Mhm.
was doing well balling, Barca didn't want to sell him, you want to go and buy him, it's going to be a whole, Declan Rice, Neymar situation, yeah? Where you have to pay 150 million to get this player, bruv. Now, for me personally, you're buying him on a free. I think the gaffer put him on par with Neymar in terms of the best talent he's
Best
ever
talent.
seen.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
along them lines. Yeah. That's the
So
one.
for me, he's a wonderful signing, still a talent, and I think you can put him in that bracket of, the most sought after attacking players in world football, and he's still got potential. The beauty of it is, the gaffers work with him, knows his pros and cons, and can still develop his game, which
Yeah.
excites me. And I think in this system, if we get the right additions in midfield and defence, this fella's gonna cook, bruv. I mean, he's gonna literally draw fouls all over the gaff as long as he can stay fit. Now, the important thing is who we have back up to him, whether that's a Pulisic or a Cho. And in my opinion, you've got to offload Ziyech, potentially Werner, and definitely Lukaku. So you're bringing in Dembele, but I think for me, you need to bring in one more attacker.
100%.
Someone who's versatile. Me personally, I'm building my attack around Kai Generational Havertz for me. He's a baller, minerals. The kid's got fucking minerals, bruv. He needs to be back. He's 22, let's not forget. Or he's just turned 23.
Yeah, he's a baby still, yeah.
He's a baby, bruv. And he's got unbelievable talent. And I think next season, and I said this, and you can clip me all you want, yeah, this kid will ball out next season. I'm 100%. Telling you, he's going to ball out. And if you give him the right players around him, like a Dembele, and he's got a Pulisic and Cho, trickery, pace, skill, movement, pressing, he's going to score goals. And he's going to create goals for them as well. And unfortunately, with Lukaku, you can't do that. Yeah. And right now, he's had a lot of injuries, had a lot of players in and out. And then, like I say, you could bring in a Rice and you put Minerals Mount in the midfield in that number 10 role, and you're laughing, bruv. You're absolutely laughing. But Dembele, 100% go out and get him. I think that Grimes...
yes, Grimes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, she blocked me. Big up. For whatever reason. At the end of the day, yeah, like, do your thing. But I know she's in all these little circles. You know what I mean? I'm not in them circles, me personally. I hate all that. I'm just here to talk about Chelsea because I love my club. But if that's the case and it goes through, then she's got a little bit of props. But let's have it right. She's been here for 5 minutes. Minerals Mount has been here for 3 seasons at Chelsea, and he's done fucking way more than this chick's done. So let's instead of giving her loads of props and respect, let's give respect to Minerals Mount because he's a baller. Yeah,
absolutely.
But I'm just putting things into context. But yeah, get Dembele, Guni, man. 100% go and get him. I want Neymar, me personally. Look, if you look at marquee signings, a marquee signing for me is Neymar.
Neymar, bro. When you look at the finances involved in that, can we realistically afford to do that though?
Listen. If we offload Lukaku, he's on over 400 grand a week. I want to let everyone know, yeah. And that's
is that including the bonuses in the contract?
Probably not. I think you can get more. He's got a ridiculous contract, bruv. They paid over the odds for this fella, right? He's cost us 100 million, which we're going to try and salvage 60 million, whether it's a 2-year loan deal. I don't care how he gets out. Get out. Jog on. Fucking had enough of you, son. You're not Chelsea quality. You ratted our club. Mm-hmm. All the fans, the gaffer, the board, your teammates. You don't deserve to be at Chelsea Football Club. And you're pushing with the journos and your lawyers and all this stuff. The guys move on from agents, bruv, to lawyers, bruv. Yeah? Think about that. To get out of Chelsea. The gaffer don't want him.
Yeah, he's moving heaven and earth to make this move happen for real.
Yeah, get rid, all right? But that frees up a lot of money, wage bill, right? Then you sell a Werner who's on 290 grand a week.
Ridiculous money.
another one. And we got ballers, real proper Chelsea ballers, like Reece James and Mason Mount, who should be on those wages, bruv, whether you like it or not. You know, they play for those wages. These players don't play for those wages, bruv. They're a shadow of footballer, right? Of what we desire and what we demand at our football club to win the major honours. They're not up there. They ain't got the minerals.
I have to throw in N'Golo Kante in there as well. I just have to throw him in there.
What Kante? What in sense of he's not getting the wages?
Like because I'm talking about like in terms of the minerals, but I know the injuries have let him down. Kante's, I've got to throw him in there, bruv. That guy is always playing 100% for the show.
Yeah. Listen, N'Golo's a legend, bruv, at our football club. I love N'Golo. I don't want to sell him. I know he's injury prone, but let's have it right. If we get the right players in, we can manage him. The gaffer can manage him correctly.
Be key. Yeah, exactly.
And play him in the big games, Champions Leagues, the Man Uniteds, the Man City games, the Liverpool games. That's where you play N'Golo Kante, and you want him at his TikTok mineral FC position, bruv. And for me, you keep N'Golo. I love Georgie, and I back Georgie. And like I say, he's been unbelievable. But I think he will go to Italy, and that frees up the Declan Rice position, allows Billy Gilmour to come in. And if you do play three-man midfield with Declan Rice, then I think Gallagher's got a future in this 100%. Current system. I'm not too convinced he can fit into only as a limited squad player. He can fit in, and that's not down to the gaffer because he does like him, and I respect that because he's a Cobham boy. But yeah, like all these players that we're paying big wages for, it could allow us to go and get a Neymar. Is what I'm saying. If we really wanted to go and get him, right, I think Neymar would have to cut his wages a little bit. Let's have it right. Firstly, he's got a want and a desire to come to Chelsea in the Premier League. And he's definitely got a desire to play for Thomas Tuchel. So if those all are ticked and we get a right price, because I think, obviously, PSG have spent, 300 million as a signing on fee for Mbappe and $1 million a week. You know, madness. I mean, this club is a joke of a club. Mickey Mouse club. Never won the Champions League. Yeah, let's have it right.
By the way, like people don't know, it's actually run terribly in terms of like the personnel in there just talk to each other like shit all day long. Like it's mad. But go on, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, so that club are a joke the way they run, and they need to bring some money back in. You know, they're trying to offload certain players, and I think this might be an opportunity to go and get Neymar Jr. And he, for me, would be Hazard's actual replacement fully. I think Dembele could be that.
I think he could as well.
But I think if you have both of them, I mean, you're talking, me personally, Neymar, Havertz, Dembele, and Mason Mount behind is the best attack in world football. Yeah. It would be, by far. And I think you'd have Mount in there, Rice and Kovacic to do the work with Havertz and Dembele pressing if Neymar lacks a little bit. But what you've got is an array of technical ability, and you will scare teams. Every team, all the big teams all around Europe, be scared of that front line, and they'll be scared of the midfield. And then you bring in a Koundé or a De Ligt and Koulibaly with a Thiago Silva, and you've got Reece James, Trev Chalobah. You're looking very, very strong.
Exactly. And to let the people know, that would just be the beginning, because this would be the first transfer market where we're actually going into Tuchel's planning. But just so obviously we've spoken about Dembele, and there are several other forwards that we have been linked to as well. I'm going to throw one in there that we haven't been linked to. But with Dembele, this is another thing that I like about him. Whether you want to play him on the left, whether you want to play him on the right, it doesn't matter. He can play either flank. He's just he's versatile. Both of his feet are very, very strong. But some of the other players that we've been linked with, obviously, Gabriel Jesus and Raheem Sterling from Manchester City, they've been strong links. And two outside the box that I've said, Leroy Sané was one that I did advocate for, but quite a few people were saying that they weren't too sure whether he's still motivated enough to play at that top level because of what they've seen from him at Bayern Munich. So with that one, I've got to look into that a bit more. The other one is Gnabry. There hasn't really been links between Chelsea and Bayern in terms of that, but just looking at him and his profile, he is a goal-scoring winger, something that we could do with. But Who would, outside of Neymar, because let's have it
Yeah.
right, that is an absolute box office signing, and the chances of that happening are not really that big. But outside of him, would any of out of those four, who would you consider? Who do you think would be the best fit?
Well, I think with Sane, he's a baller. But I don't think he'd come to Premiership again. I think if he left Man City, who are at the minute the best in the league, why is he going to come to Chelsea? So I don't really see it. I think he's German, so he's going to enjoy playing where he is and in his country. In terms of Gnabry, how old is he?
Gnabry, I believe, is 24, 25 as well.
Yeah, so for me, Dembele's clear of him for me. He's a good player, but he's playing in the best team in Germany. They don't have much competition out there. It's not the strongest league, in my opinion. I think going to Premiership would test him, whether he's got the minerals to live up to that level. We have to see. But he'd be a bit of a risk for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jesus and Sterling. Fuck me. Sterling, bruv, let's have it right, yeah. This guy needs about 100 chances to score 10 goals.
100, I got to agree with that. He gets a
bag load of chances at Manchester City. They create more than we do, and he misses countless. Pep's letting him go for a reason, so you have to question that. He's 27, 28 years old. He's played at the best team in the country for the last, 6 years, 7 years. Is he going to step down to Chelsea? Is he going to have that hunger? Granted, he's a system player, but he's not what we need, in my opinion. That's not a marquee signing. I think that's a stopgap signing, but it could be a very expensive one on the wage bill for a stopgap signing and someone that demands to play every game. I would stay clear of Sterling personally. Not for me. I think out of the two, Jesus and Sterling, I think Jesus is more of the credible one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he is at an age where he knows what it takes. I mean, they both know what it takes to win titles, and they play in a fantastic team, a finished article team, but playing in a finished article team and then coming to Chelsea rebuilding, different ball game altogether, mate. And you can play in the Premier League, fair enough. Jesus, a bit injury prone for me. And I think what's in his favour is he can play left, right, middle. He's a good finisher. He's got pace and he's excellent at pressing, bruv. And I think he's at a right age. If he wants to come to Chelsea and he wants that challenge to play for Tuchel and at our club and come to London and still stay in the Premier League, then I'm all for it, bruv. If we can get him for 40 million, that's a very good price.
That's a very good price
100%. For an excellent player. And he won't be just a squad player. But he's got to accept if Kai Havertz is playing, he's going to have to play left or right. Like he did at Man City, left, right. He's all over the place. He's going to be a utility player almost in that sense. But I think he's a good signing. I would take him over Sterling. I wouldn't touch Sterling with a barge pole. No disrespect to him. We all saw him at England last game. The amount of chances he misses, the amount of times he gives the ball away. He's not like an amazing dribbler. He's not as young as he was, where he was a bit more nippy and that. And he's been around for a while, even though he's only 26, 27. But I just feel like he won't have the hunger. I also want to land this, Guni. I honestly think that you got to remember, that Chelsea are known to be actively in this market. So we are going to get linked to every player that is looking to move. And Sterling and Jesus fit into that bracket.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know. Jesus might want to go La Liga, bro. Sterling might want to go La Liga. He doesn't want to stay in the Premiership. So therefore, they'll use Chelsea to help them get either a better deal at Man City or to get a better deal elsewhere. Because I don't think their intentions is to come to Manchester City. And I would tell this now. There is no way Jesus is going to Arsenal, bro.
No, there's no way. There's no way.
Right. So you ain't going to take 100 steps downwards, are you, to go to Arsenal, even if they pay you astronomical wages, all right? Obviously, let's see if it's about money and whether it's about ambition. If it's about ambition, you don't go there. If it's about money, you go there. It's as simple as that. But I'm going to take them ones with a pinch of salt for me. I think Tuchel likes Jesus and he fits the system and he can play all of our systems. But why is Pep letting him go? Oh, obviously, he's got Haaland. Don't get me wrong. But it's a long season, bro. You need, if Haaland gets injured, which he's known to get injured quite a bit, what is he going to play KDB there? If he
Yeah,
ain't got
that's true.
Jesus. So it might be to get a better deal. I don't even know what his deal, whether he's got 2 years, 3 years, or whatever he's got now. But I'm not excited by it, but it's a good addition. You know, it's one of those ones. It's
And Pep does trust the player as well, because he did use him in the Champions League final, several big games, man. So Jesus has been trusted, but he's just not really been that focal number 9 for the team. And well, can you really blame him? It's Manchester City, really. But no, that's interesting. So Jesus for me, I don't know, man. This is all press. This is all what they're saying in the press, but they're saying that he's looking to be the favourite to come into Chelsea Football Club. So really across the attacking positions, we've discussed the wings, but just going down that middle, because we do know Lukaku is going to be leaving the club. Well, we hope he's going to be leaving the club. What's this? I want to know what the situation is with that, because we're going to have to take a massive financial L in terms of sending him over to Inter Milan, because there's absolutely no way they're going to cover even half of his wages on what he's on. Do you know what I mean? So, but I think at this point, considering everything that he's done, for Chelsea fans, we're looking at it like, look, the fee's not really our problem at this point. Just get him out of the club.
Yeah.
But then who do you replace him with? Because with this summer that we're coming into, if Marina's still going to be, in control of the transfers, it's going to be a one in, one out situation. So somebody definitely is going to come in to replace him. Who do you think that might be?
Right. Well, before I say that, in terms of additions, I think there needs to be a balance between buying players from other leagues who have to adapt to the Premier League, right? Bringing back loan players that are going to be assessed to see if they've got the minerals to play at Chelsea's level, right? And then you need to think about maybe taking a player or two, including Rice definitely, who have Premier League proven,
Yeah,
and have pedigree. And that will be the difference. And I think the right thing to do is get the right balance with who we sign. In terms of Lukaku, he needs to get the fuck out of our football club. We know that.
sharpish.
And I've been crying out for this ever since the documentary. If it's a case, say Bayern Munich are in for him and they want to pay a transfer fee and take him off our books completely, then I'm sorry, Lukaku, mate. You have to go where we tell you, because we own you, fella. Unless Inter Milan can offer us an equally or same deal in a loan deal, then you can go to your long lost love, Milan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care how we do it, Guni, if I'm being honest. And
Facts.
I think Marina will be the best one to do it. And I'm sort of enjoying this a little bit, because she fucked up buying him, and now she's got to sort out her mess and the blood on her hands and get some mineral water and wash it off, because she bought a player that she should never have bought. And the gaffer said it, and that Liam Towney fella from the Athletic, who came at me countless times. Well, I've mudded him now, and he needs to give me an apology, mate, because that brown envelope was force feeding it down our throats. That Tuchel wanted the player, and he needs to take the blame, which is a load of bangers and mash waffle, because he came out and said that Tuchel never recommended Lukaku, right? He was happy. Gaffer was happy going into season with Kai Havertz and not having an actual striker.
Mm-hmm.
Probably would have been more favoured to have a DM, right? So he could play different systems. They didn't go and do that. And they were after Lukaku since Conte days.
Yeah, that's
right?
a fact.
And on top of that, it's come out, which I told everyone, he was never number one choice. He was number fourth. He was the fourth choice. So you explain to me and tell me how that is not a board signing.
Yeah, I mean, and people are going to fling it back to you and say, "Oh, well, there's been reports saying that Tuchel co-signed for the signing, blah blah blah." But what I've noticed with that is that those reports are after the fact that he's been signed. If you're going to ask a manager after the club has just put 100 million outlay plus wages on a player, whether you wanted the player or not, what do you think the answer is going to be realistically?
We ain't got any choice.
You know what I'm saying? Like, well, he's
Exactly.
not going to tell the truth. So for me, even though I've seen those reports, in the back of my mind, I'm quite skeptical, bro. I don't really think Tuchel looked at him and said, "Yeah, this
Oh, I
guy
want
is the
him.
one to fit
Yeah,
into the system." Nah,
of course not.
absolutely not. But
And do you know what, Guni, on that, yeah, I would say this. Before the sanctioning, he was forced to play this fella. All right. He dropped in for Liverpool. He played 9 consecutive 90-minute games, scored 2 goals, one against Chesterfield and Plymouth. Shocking teams. He played against Spurs twice, didn't score, even though Middlesbrough put it on a plate for him, for example, twice. Then he was eased in to make it 13 games he played consecutively. And Kai Havertz, who is by far the better footballer, by far suits us better in the system, all day long, was rotting on that bench. He came out, he was injured from the 7th of December, and he came back into that Liverpool game, Kai Havertz, and he put in a shift. And we drew that game, and everyone saw the difference in how we played when we, comparing it to when we play with Lukaku. And then Lukaku goes straight into the team. So it was only one game he was dropped for. Back in the day, if that was at Sir Alex Ferguson, I'm telling you now, that guy would have never played another game or another minute or second for that club.
yeah, he would have had a boot in the face while he was at it, David Beckham
Right.
style. Do you know what I mean?
So Tuchel had to make it work. He's the best problem-solving manager I've ever seen at Chelsea, for sure, if not in the world at the minute. And not even he could solve this mystery of getting the best out of Lukaku, because the only way you can get the best out of him is playing counter-attacking football, and the gaffer ain't going to do that, bro. And fucking too right. Why should he? So, in my opinion, or in the facts, let's say, he was asked and told to call up Lukaku to get the deal done, because Roman's son went and got the deal. He was out in Italy trying to get the deal because they were desperate for a striker, because they saw the final piece to this puzzle was a striker, but they didn't think about, in football terms, what type of striker are you buying
Exactly
to fit how Chelsea have played in the Champions League under Thomas Tuchel and the Premier League, and going on into next season. And instead gone and blown and wasted money and astronomical wages on this cement-booted fraud who, let's have it right, has never had the minerals, bruv, in the Premier League. He scored goals, but he's played in counter-attacking teams. Every team he's played at, Manchester United, West Brom, Everton, all counter-attacking, all right? He's never scored against the big teams.
Never,
in the big games, all right?
Flat
so he's
track
not a
bully.
clutch player. And he's balled out in Serie A because his fraudulent touch gets exposed in the Premier League. But in Serie A, you got an extra 2 seconds on the ball, so he can do what looks like an Iniesta touch, which it ain't, bruv. Yeah. And all of a sudden, he's bagging goals Serie A in a slower league. Even John Obi Mikel, big up John Obi Mikel, absolute legend of our football club,
legend.
baller.
He knew
he
when he was
came out
coming
and said,
on, no goals were being conceded, bruv.
He said Lukaku's struggling in the Premier League because it's much quicker than Serie A. Serie A's a slow league. You can play there till you're 37. You got Edin Dzeko there, bruv, playing at 37, balling out in Serie A for Inter Milan. Well, that tells you everything you need to know about Lukaku, bruv. He's a world-class striker, they said. Nah, mate. World-class is Benzema, Lewandowski. Haaland's got the potential to go that way, but he ain't world-class yet. But those two are world-class players, yeah? Lukaku is not even in that. Harry Kane's there, but not this guy, bruv. So, as far as I'm concerned, Mourinho's now got to go to Inter Milan and try and get the best deal for our football club and for the new owners. And let's have it right. It ain't Roman's money now.
It's not.
So her approach, which is where I got worried, is that she goes in hard as a fucking iron, bruv. Goes in there and will basically try and call anyone she's negotiating their bluff, right? And I think that was to protect Roman and his money and not getting mugged off. Whereas I think now the new owners there'll be an element of that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think it's not Roman's money no more, so therefore she can go and go to say Sevilla, and she might say, "I'm not paying anything more than 40 million," all right, knowing that Tuchel wants him.
Yeah.
But this new ownership will say, "Look, I might give you a bit of play with 10, 15 million in a deal, and mix it in with the wages and that to get the player, just to get over the line
Get over
and
the
actually
line,
get
yeah.
the player that the gaffer wants, instead of not getting the creme de la creme like we should have done last year with Haaland, and then going to have to get fourth best. It'll be the same with a Koundé. It'll be the same with a Declan Rice or a De Ligt or whoever you're looking at. If you don't get those top tier players, what are your ambitions going forward into that, or what are your hopes going into that season? Because if you buy the top tier talent, you know you're ready to go to that level and up your
100%.
level. If
Yeah.
you're going to go and get a Bissouma instead of a Rice, Bissouma's a great player, don't get me wrong, he's a top player. But is he going to have the longevity that you're getting with Rice? Rice, you're buying for the next 10 years at this football club.
I agree. You know what you're getting with him, and you know he's not going nowhere, bruv. He's going to be Chelsea through
He's
and
proper
through.
Chelsea, isn't
Even if you sign Basuma, bruv, I still think Declan Rice is necessary. I 100% think he's necessary. But I'm not going to ask you what your expectations are going into next season in terms of what Chelsea should be. Well, you think Chelsea should be winning because we haven't made no signings yet. Other teams haven't completed their transfer business, so it's still very early to say. But yeah, do you know what? I'll ask you instead. What are your expectations by the end of this window? Not necessarily by player names, but what do you expect to have been done in terms of certain positions covered and certain outgoings?
Well, the key ones are the centre back positions, because we've got Rudy who's left us and Christensen.
Yeah,
let's have it right. I'm not happy with them two, bruv. You know what I'm saying? Going with all this contract negotiations throughout the season did not help. Players like Reece James and Mason Mount said they'll wait till the end of the season and let's get through the season and have a bit of respect for your club. I think they got a bit scared of the sanctionings, what's going to happen. Anyway, they served us, fair play, but you're cult heroes at best. You're not legends. Those two positions are key. And I think who you sign needs to be a mixture of experience and potential and talent.
100.
So what I would want is a De Ligt and Koundé, but you're solely relying on experience of Thiago Silva, who's going to be 38, not going to play as many games. So you're not going to have that experience at the back. And they've never played Premier League football. It's a bit of a risk. I think with a Koulibaly, even though he hasn't played Prem football, he's got a lot of experience and he's at an age where you need that sort of authority when Silva's not there. But the worrying thing for me is that Serie A tax, bruv. It's a slow league, bruv. If he comes to the Premier League at 31 years old, you're going to have to look to replace that position in 2-3 years, sign him on a big contract, paying 40 million. That concerns me. So I think I'd go De Ligt and Koundé there. The interesting one I heard today was Hakimi.
Right.
About how we do want him, how PSG, I don't know if they're that ecstatic about him. I think he might be open to a move. If that's the case, I think you go and get the gaffer, the player that he actually wanted in Hakimi.
I'd love him at the club, but I think at best the way we get him in is on a loan, because remember he just signed.
I'll take that.
I'll take that 100%. Yeah, I'll take that as well. And with him,
you need that backup. Wing back.
Yeah,
backup.
well, he might not even necessarily be backup, because again, remember, we do know that Chilwell is coming back and he's recovering from his injury, but that was a serious injury, and it still remains to be seen as to whether he's going to be trusted in the first few games of the season. And I say that because Hakimi is comfortable playing on that side too. Yeah. So I think whether Reece James and him can play together, I don't think that's an issue. Bro. I don't think that's an issue. Because for me, under no circumstances, if Reece James is breathing air and he's fit, he fucking starts. I don't want to hear nothing. That guy you don't compromise with him. So it's just that left wing back position. Now with Chilwell, what do I think of him? I think he's quality. I fucking love Chilwell, and I'm gonna put my hands up and say, I didn't when I heard we was linked to him. I wasn't the ones. Didn't want him in it. I wasn't the ones that was excited to bring him to the club. I'll tell you that straight. I said I think Chilwell is a good player, but for the price that we're bringing this brother in is a bit mad. Yeah, it remains to be seen. Since he's come in, he's just proved me completely wrong. What a player he's been. But
what about Cucurella, bruv? For me, I think Cucurella's a signing, bruv. Why are we not buying this player?
Listen,
bruv?
man.
Anyone explain that to me, man?
Listen, but
why are we not going for this guy?
With the Cucurella situation now is Why I would understand is if we see like Manchester City with their interest in Cucurella, because you got to remember he is a La Masia graduate and he did come up during the time where Pep Guardiola was absolutely spanking everything to do with football. So like I'd completely understand if City go there and he's like, yeah, Pep's the manager there and he wants me to play on the regular. See you later. Forget everyone else. That's why I would understand him going there, and that's why I'm not really putting my heart too much in that. But I would fucking love him at Chelsea Football Club. Oh my!
Well, he fits everything, doesn't he, Guni? He's got excellent technical ability. He's got pace.
Yeah.
He can play in a pressing and possession-based style of football because Brighton do that. He's had a year of Premier League experience. He can play the Premier League, and he's at a good age. I mean, he ticks every box. And the fact that Pep wants to go and sign him tells you everything you need to know. You know, he fits their criteria. Well, then he fits our criteria. You know, and we don't know how Chile's going to come back, if he's going to come back the Chile that we knew before the injury, or whether it's going to be a bit of a slow process. Yeah. And we ain't got time for that. You know, we have not got time. The season's going to start on the 2nd of August. You know, we need to be, you know, fully equipped and ready and players fit to play in the system that the gaffer wants, so that we know, and to kick on. So for me, Hakimi and Cucurella, one of them. Just one.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Right? It's got to be one of the two.
And then you're looking at midfield. The only middle general for me is Declan Rice. I think you bring back Billy Gilmour, and then you sell on maybe Jorginho. I want Barkley out, Bakayoko out.
Yeah.
Drinkwater's out. Loftus-Cheek, I think, listen, he's 27, 28. I love Ruben, Cobham boy, but listen, he's not a kid anymore, bruv. He's in his fucking prime. And I think he needs to go to Serie A. I think that will suit him. His talent can flourish there. He'll do well in Serie A. And I think he needs to go on that move, unless the gaffer thinks I've got a squad player there. But then I'd rather bring in a Gallagher, workhorse, got a shot on him, goal in him, good passer, hungry, great recovery, pressing. I think we need someone like that instead of Loftus-Cheek. Gallagher, I don't think could play the 6, but the gaffer might mould him. Do you know what I mean? So for me, Declan Rice is the key.
100%.
With the defence to give you that balance through the core. And then up front, listen, there's a lot of reshuffling, Guni. I ain't going to lie, mate. There is huge rebuilding to do.
Yeah, and we're not going to do it all in one. Yeah, exactly, bruv. So we're going to, and this is what I wanted to say, and even for me as well, because it's easy to just get overexcited in the transfer window, especially with some of the names that you link to. But we have to be sensible and really look at it and just say, you know, with the amount of surgery that needs to be done in this squad, not even just the first 11, in the entire squad, it's going to take probably several transfer windows to do it, 2 or 3, if we're really but this is why I'm talking, not compromising for 3rd and 4th choice. And sometimes maybe on the 2nd choice, like the way Manchester City and them clubs operate. Because more times out of 10, they're getting their number 1 targets into the club. We're fucking Chelsea Football Club. Yeah, when you look at the past couple decades, we have been dominant in that success. I don't want to hear no excuses. We should be eating at that table.
Well, the main excuse, it's not even an excuse, it's just the fact of the situation is, you know, you got to remember we've been sanctioned for all this time.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that they can't do things behind the scenes, but how can you negotiate a deal if you don't know what you got to spend, what your budget is? The new owners might have a different philosophy or ambition. You can't go in and try and get players until you know all these things are sorted out. And it's only recently, a week and a half or 2 weeks even?
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of players that we need to get rid of. I know we've got 200 million to spend, and apparently that's on top of who we sell.
So,
listen, deals can be made. I think Declan Rice will go to the wire. Koundé will get done probably the first one because we've been working on that for over a year, so it's likely to happen quickly. I think Dembele could happen quickly because it's just a free transfer and it's about a matter of wages.
Wait till the 1st of July before he can sign.
Yeah. Also, the club's looking at the Nations League at the minute. They don't want to risk, you know, sign the player and then they get injured. So you've got to take that into consideration. And I think also the gaffer himself he needs to have countless conversations with the owners and express what he really wants and what he needs for our football club and our team, because he knows better than me, you, or any fan what players. If he wants Declan Rice, then there's a reason and a thought process behind it. And whether you're a fan that doesn't want him and doesn't rate him, it doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant. It's what the gaffer thinks and what he believes. What I'm excited to see is who he signs, and I'm going to know it's who he wants. That's the most important thing. Whereas under Roman, it's not the case. And he's probably got this summer the best opportunity to have that Fergie role of literally signing whatever player he wants and taking on all the responsibility for making those signings. And we will see Tuchel ball in full flow if he gets the right tools in the squad. Yeah. It is exciting. I'm very excited, bruv. You know, obviously, me going home and away, watching that lamppost up front, I was really not looking forward to that. And I think that's not going to happen now. I think bringing in a Rice, the Rolls Royce, that V8, V10 6-litre engine, bruv, in that middle of the park is going to be all the minerals we need to kick us on. And I said it, Declan Rice will be definitely one of the main components to win the Premier League title.
Johnny, I'll tell you straight, and I'll say it public as well. Look, as excited as I am about Ousmane Dembele and some of these names that we're being linked with, and some might not agree because he's not as exciting to watch as these players, but for me, that is my marquee signing. That is the one, that's the one signing that we need at this class. I strongly believe that because 100%. I think out of all the players that we sign, he closes the gap the most significantly for the reasons that we've stated on this.
He slots in, bruv.
So far,
Don't listen to these Twitter virgins and all these fucking.
No, of course not. I'm my own man.
They say,
my own mind. You get
possession. Me? That's what they'll say. You can't play possession football, right?
But that's football. It's a game of opinions,
though,
isn't it?
Yeah. He's a sitter.
He's
there to win you the ball back and keep you flowing. That's what he's there for. He's not there to break the lines like a cover. He can do it. He can progress, but he's not that player. He's a player we haven't got at the minute. And that's the difference. That's what makes it exciting. That he'll come in and he will transform us in that midfield. Koundé comes in the defence, transforms our defence essentially, right? With maybe someone else.
Yeah.
And Silva, it does. And then bringing in a Dembele and getting rid of Lukaku and bringing in another signing, whether it's a Jesus or a Neymar, whoever it is, that transforms your attack. So already you got a nice balance across the whole team with different attributes that we don't have currently. And that's the beauty of it. And you build around Minerals Mount. You build around Reece James at the back, in my opinion. All right. And you build around Declan Rice when he comes in that sort of central position with Mount. And then up front, you've got Kai Havertz, who for me is going to be clinical. He's going to get consistency and he's going to bag a lot of goals. And let's have it right. There's not one player, forget just in our team, in the Premier League, and you try and name me one, yeah? And anyone in the chat, try and name me one, all right? That has scored a goal like Kai Havertz did against Newcastle United at home.
That
touch
was fucking stupid.
Right? Bro. Over the top, touch, shot, kill, goal, all right?
You just gave me a flashback of that goal. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Ridiculous. That's minerals, bruv. That's what you call the minerals.
Yeah.
That goal, I haven't seen a player since Bergkamp or Berbatov score a goal like that.
Touch was beautiful, bruv. Yeah, right, so I can't lie.
Why am I going to build around anyone else when I've got the creme de la creme currently in my team that wants to play at Chelsea? And Real Madrid are interested. He doesn't want to know, bruv. He wants to stay at Chelsea. He loves Chelsea Football Club. He's got the best chemistry of Minerals Mount. He's got abundance of talent and potential. He's under the best manager that he could possibly have, being German as well.
And German, yeah.
He's won Champions League for us, clutch. He's won Club World Cup for us, clutch. He got the assist in the Super Cup, clutch. He's just, for a young age, I haven't seen a player with that amount of
composure in it. It's scary, in it.
And do you know what, Guni? I'll say this, bruv. Mbappe, for a generational talent, where was he in his Champions League final? Where was he in the Champions League quarter-final? Well, I'll tell you what, Kai Havertz and Mason Mount I know exactly what they were because they land the minerals, bruv, and they win. They know what it takes to win those titles. And you can bring up World Cup to me all you want, but that's international level, bruv. Yeah, different context. If you're
No
talking
one's
domestically,
doubting. No one's doubting Mbappe's minerals anyway, bruv. He's a fucking baller. But go on.
yeah, he's a baller. But what I'm saying to you is, you can have all that quality and all their minerals, bruv. But if you don't use it when it matters, it's irrelevant, right? And my point is, Kai Havertz and Mason Mount, for that matter, when it counts on the biggest stage, they land them damn minerals, bruv. And they have that mentality. And at a young age, it's very unusual, very rare. You expect that with your experienced players that bring that experience to you in those fine margin moments where it's a matter of winning or losing. And that's why people have got to be patient with these players at our football club, because we got special talent. All right. It's not their fault that the players around them are not good enough. All right. And you can blame Mason Mount for a lot of things, but when it matters and he gets 29 GA and he gets player of the season back to back, there's a reason for that. There's a reason the gaffer plays him every game, right? Because he's the minerals. He's the glue of the team. There's a reason he wants to play Kai Havertz there and he wants to push. There's a reason Gaffer last season didn't want a striker. You know, he wasn't bothered about a striker. He was happy going in with Kai Havertz because you can see Kai Havertz being that Lewandowski, Berbatov type profile striker.
Yeah.
And he said that in an interview with Glenn Hoddle. So it's all about moulding him and giving him time. Now, the gaffer's going to do that. You know, Reece James again, another one. Baller. Minerals, bruv. You know, those two are common boys. Trev is going to be a great player, I promise you. Trev Chalobah, mate. He's going to be top draw. He's still a kid. And the gaffer's put all his faith in him last season. Instead of shedding out, maybe paying the 80 million for Koundé, he said, I want Trev. I can get through Trev this season. And he did. And he's going to learn his trade. He delivered, bruv. You bring back Billy Gilmour now, and you bring him into the mix. I'm telling you, mate, we've got all the minerals, all the quality there. But what happens, because everyone keeps blaming Mount. I've got to say, add my piece on this, and land the minerals. What happens when you buy Neymar, Dembele, and you have Kai Havertz, or you get a Lewandowski, and it's a similar situation? You're going to blame Mason Mount for it, even though he's putting up the numbers and he's performing. You know, you got to draw the line somewhere.
100%.
You know, the players in the attack this season have been poor, right? Not clinical enough, wasteful, into exchange too much. There's always rotation. There's no consistency. But the one consistent player is Mason Mount, right? Playing out of position. So he's not my problem. He never has been the problem. Because if he was the problem, the gaffer benches him, like he's done with all the other players.
Mm-hmm.
It's the other players that don't bring that level and that intensity and that quality consistently is why they keep getting rotated. Players like Ziyech, Werner, Lukaku, obviously we know he's a howler of a footballer. And then you've got Cho, who's been inconsistent with his injury, in and out of his injuries. He's had a bad injury, and I've got a lot of high hopes for Doy. And he's a Cobham boy, and I back him 100%. And I think if he's going to have his chance this season, I think Pulisic has got one more season, next season, and I'm going to back him. But he needs to be consistent, and he needs to take his chance and not fucking moan with his old man on Twitter about, he's not playing in the right positions he wants to play and this and that. Listen, Mason Mount doesn't moan once about being played in the front line when he's an actual 8, number 10 player. All right. Reece James didn't moan about playing right wing back when he's known to be a right back or right centre back. So why are you moaning? You're there to serve your duty for our football club and for what the gaffer demands of you. It's for the team.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're playing right wing back or left wing back, like Cho has, Cho never moaned, then you just do it. You don't do your talking on the pitch. That's what it's about. Because all the other stuff is irrelevant, don't matter.
No, 100%, Johnny.
And we need more players with the mentality of our Cobham boys. Yeah. Kovacic, another one. Great mentality. exceptional baller. We need more of this level if we're going to compete, because right now we don't have it. We've got Marcus Alonso, we've got Azpi on his last legs.
Yeah,
we got
they want to get out of the club as well.
AC and Rudiger. They're going to go, bruv. And let them go. Listen, Dave's a legend, and there's no dispute on that. He's won the lot, and I don't think you can sustain the intensity of the league anymore. He's physically not up to it, and it's not fair on him, bruv. He needs to go to Spain, nice weather, slower league, and enjoy his football and get another contract. And fair play to Azpi, because he's a goat, yeah. But we need to replace these players. So let's list them out, Guni, yeah? Alonso, Rudiger, Azpi, Christensen, right? That's 4 in your defence. Then you got potentially Jorginho or Kante, which I think is ridiculous, but I don't see the gaffer selling Kante. But let's say there's talk about it from the brown envelopes, yeah? Then you got Bakayoko, Drinkwater, Loftus-Cheek, Barkley, right? And then up front you got Lukaku, Ziyech, Werner, right? That's a lot of players to leave.
Yeah,
and
the
to
football
try and
club.
bring in players in.
Yeah,
right? And
but
in
Johnny,
the mix, you'll get problem, boys.
We're gonna stop there. I hope I can get you back in for, this week, so we can do a part 2 to this video where we discuss the outgoing players and why they need to go. Because at the minute, I do have to run off and go and drop something to my daughter at her school, so that can't wait right now.
Yeah, of course.
But listen, everybody in the chat, big up everybody that has joined in with us. Johnny's details, all of his socials are down there in the description. I've made them all clickable as well, so I've done all the work for you, man. So make sure you show Johnny some love and support on the socials. Big up to everybody that's just been contributing, man. Appreciate the super chats, all of the subscribers, and the comments after the lives have been done as well, man. All of that is helping with the build of the channel. So listen, people, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, man, please make sure you stay safe and up the Chelsea all day.